Testing, testing. Jeff, are we ready? Thumbs up. Okay, now we are going to switch into our teen and young adult panel. This is always a very popular panel, and this is amazing, all of these people. This is so great. Thank you all so much for being up here. I know it's a little it's a little awkward, but thank you all. You'll get used to it quickly. We're going to let each one of these young adults, teens, introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about them, where they're from, and then we can get started with some open discussion.
I'm Catherine. I'm 13, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Sean. I'm 15, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I'm Randy. I'm 17, and I'm from California, Kentucky. Hello, I'm Anna. I'm 24. I'm from Western Kentucky, and I have Alagille syndrome.
Hi, my name is Kira. I'm 10 years old, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, you all know me, Shami from India, and I'm 26 years old. I have ALGS.
I'm Claudia Hunt. I'm 15 years old, and I have a sister, Chloe. Woo, Chloe! She has Alagille syndrome. I do not.
All right, thank you. Will Chloe say hello to us? Can Chloe say hello to us? Oh.
Chloe, say hi.
Can you just say hi?
Hi.
Chloe's such a sweetheart. Such a sweetheart, Chloe. Okay, so do we want to start off with just some of their thoughts, and then we can take questions from the audience? Is that going to be our best course of action here today?
She has no idea
I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you talked about
Talking to you.
So in the past, what we've done is people just started asking questions, and you guys answered it, and we really want to give them questions. We don't want to have silence in the room. And I remember we had this session, the very first question I asked was to the sibling. It was the most powerful teen panel because I had so much to ask about my child without Alagille and how she was doing. So maybe we can start off on that leg. For all the siblings, how do you feel that you want to be involved in the treatment of what's happening with your sibling with Alagille? Who are all the siblings, by the way?
Me. Yeah, you're a sibling.
Okay, so then you're the sibling.
Olivia's also, she's not raising her hand. I do want to be involved with the treatment, but it's hard for me to be involved because I miss a lot of school, I miss a lot of stuff, and it's difficult to do that. And I want to be there to support my sister, but I'm missing out on my own life.
Yes, I want to be part of it, but,
A little bit louder.
Oh, okay,
Just a little
sorry.
bit.
There's school in the way and stuff, and sometimes his appointments are on school days and stuff, but, yeah.
I'll bring her this one so y'all can keep that.
I think I do want to help with my sister in her treatment, and since I'm homeschooled, I can do like school in the car, and it'll be a lot easier. But I still want to be able to like go to friends' houses and like have a life.
So, real quick, hey siblings, you rock. Just so you know, we really appreciate you. Like, all the things, including when you make fun of us because you're like, I know you have this disease, but also you're still really annoying. So thank you for that. It keeps us grounded.
So other questions from out here?
I had a question for the siblings, and it's, have you ever felt any bitterness or animosity towards your sibling who has health problems? And how have you either talked about it with them or with a parent, and how would you get over that?
I have felt bitterness and animosity, but I have had to learn how to put that aside to be there for my sister when she needs it. So,
Yes, but I remember the day my brother had surgery, and I felt so bad. No, I was legit about to cry, but but then my mom, she was like, "He'll be fine," and then yeah, I just put that aside. So I think yes, definitely. There have been a few times where people found out my sister had Alagille, and they're like, "Oh, poor thing, here's a cookie." And then I'm standing right next to her, and they're like, "Where's my cookie?" So, yeah, but then I also see what she's going through, and I think she deserves the cookie.
Well, I'm not a sibling, but I have one. I have a younger brother, and he's been watching all this live. And I got a message from him today saying, "You're my biggest hero." And I'm telling you, our siblings are our best friends. We're grateful to you. We're so grateful to you for standing up to us when we're bullied. I know Anna has a couple of stories where her siblings did the same for her. And, you know, my brother also stood up for me. Well, not stood up for me, but when, you know, my parents were pushing too much or saying, go to school or study, and if they were getting too much on my case, my brother would be the one going, no. Like, I've actually physically seen him go, no. And, you know, and now, well, he was really small then, and he's a big guy now. He's 6'4". But even now, when I'm low or when I'm unsure of what I'm doing, I'm feeling shaky, he's my go-to person. So you siblings become that. I hope you know that. It's not pressure or anything. It's just we really love you and we really need you.
So for siblings and the other sibling, whatever, for all of y'all, as a parent, I have a almost 2-year-old son and then an almost 8-year-old daughter who would totally be up there with you guys. She's my child, whatever. What are some, looking back, what are some strategies or some, I wish instead of my parents doing X, Y, Z, they could have maybe better supported me by doing this, or what are some, or highlights of, I really liked whenever my mom did, we colored together or whatever. What have been some of those good strategies or strategies that you think, maybe some of us could use as we come down the same road?
So before I had my transplant, I spent most of my childhood in the hospital a lot, and my mom would always be there, and it was always rough, and we did tell off a few doctors, so. But I think the most thing that I always found admirable and I loved is that not only did she not leave my side, is that she always tried to have a positive attitude about everything, even though she knew it wasn't good. So she tried to stick by me and was like, hey, I know it's not good, but you have to have this attitude or else we're not getting out of this. So like basically just have a positive attitude as much as you can and just let your loved one know that you're there. And yes, it might get worse, but I mean, you have each other, so, and that's all that you need when you're in a tough place. So just be patient and love them.
That was really good. You almost had me there. I almost cried, Randy. I think the other thing is also like while everything's going on, still like having those moments of just life. I know that's always been really, really huge for my family when things are going on. My parents always made it a point that we had something quote unquote normal that we did. And with a lot of the things that I couldn't do, they would always find something that I could do.
with the entire family. And that not only helped me, but also helped my siblings because they were in it and doing it just as much as I was. And so that was really cool too, because like I know being in the hospital or being doctor's appointments and things like that is really, really hard because you do miss your siblings. And while we all love our moms or our dads that are with us, we get kind of tired of them. So just making sure that you like have those moments of just life is really, really important, and it helps make us just feel not like a sick kid all the time.
One moment that always sticks out to me is one time we were going, it was actually for the shoe drive, and we went to like door to door because it was like garage sale season. And so my mom would be like, hey, I see you have some old shoes. Hey, I know where we have a place for those. And we went to this one lady, and we were sitting, Chloe and I were standing like side by side, and she's like, oh, you have two beautiful girls. And my mom was like, yeah. And she's like explaining, this daughter has Alagille syndrome, we're raising money for the shoe drive. And the lady like completely ignores me, and she goes straight to Chloe, and she's like, oh, you poor thing, oh my goodness. And it really made me realize that my mom never treated us differently. Yeah. We were always equal. And if you have if you have two children, one with Alagille and one not, I recommend always don't baby them because that doesn't help. But treated them equally. If Chloe couldn't do something, I couldn't do it either. So like, cause she had broken her femur once, so she couldn't do like a whole lot of stuff. So I couldn't like do a lot of sports or anything, so I felt like I wouldn't want to leave her out or something. So my mom always made sure that we were always equal, and I recommend that.
Sean, you want to take this one?
Oh, sorry. Another way that you can help is like they said, like some people do and don't want to be treated differently. Like I guess you can do both sides, like treat them differently, but don't treat them like they're so fragile that you have to keep away from everyone and everything, because your kids want to be included in something. I'm not a mom, but like I speak from experience, because I could never swim, and I still can't. Like I can't go under or anything because of my line, so I do have to be treated differently, and you just got to be there for them and just try to make the best out of hard things. And the most important thing that we learned, that me and my mom learned, is the way that you get through life is not only through positive attitude through everything, it's also laughter. So like find different things to laugh about, even if it's really cheesy or really stupid or dumb. Just you have to find something to laugh about, because I mean laughing gets you a long way, even when you're at the toughest times. Like me and my mom used to go in for surgeries, and we would like do like funny gags like mustaches or like crazy glasses, and then like at the end like try to ask them a stupid question or just something little things like that, or just get them like a funny gift. Like little gifts go a long way, especially when you're in the hospital. So just try not to treat them that differently, but still keep an eye on them, I guess. But I mean, just try to be positive about a lot of things, because it does make a big difference.
One thing I liked, one thing that my mom did for me that I liked was sometimes back when I used to scratch a lot, I used to be up late scratching myself or whatever, and I used to always come in her room and be like, Mom, can you scratch my leg for me, or can you scratch my arm for me? Or she would always remind me to take my medicine and stuff like that. Like, she would baby me a lot, but but yeah.
I think a lot of stuff I do with my sibling, but when I need a break, my mom often says, like, when my sister comes to my room and I just need a break from her, otherwise I'm going to end up, like, screaming at her. My mom says that I can have my own alone time to recoup before I go play with her. So.
The other thing that my parents did for me was, even in a hospital bed or under a scan or whatever, they would always talk about something to aspire to. They always made me think 20 years ahead. They were like, one day you're going to be in the UN. And I had just had a blood draw, and I was just like, what? What is the UN? Like, you know, that was the kind of approach we had at home, that it was not about now, it was about so much later. You have so much more ahead of you. There's more to you than the medicine and you know, everything related to the disease. There's more to you than that. And find those things about yourself, like if you like to write or if you like to paint or whatever. So just think ahead, something to aspire to. That was what kept me going, and that's what I'm really grateful to my parents for doing.
I have a daughter who's 7. She is PFIC. And one of the things that we talk about as parents is how much to share with our children. She's quite a bit younger than you all, but I know you've been through this when you were that age. And some of the stuff that you go through in the hospitals is really scary. And some of the stuff, you know, it's scary to look forward to. And I think as parents, we struggle with shielding that information or giving that information. Do you have any suggestions on, I mean, do you want to know everything, or do you want to just know enough to get through?
So I know with me, there's not a lot of control that we have in our condition, and that's really, really hard to deal with. And so, but I understand like wanting to shield. So I think it starts with explaining things that's age appropriate in an age appropriate way. So if you know that they're going to have labs done, like tell them that. We don't handle surprises well. We don't. I know that you're shielding us, but we take it as hiding things, and then we will not trust you. And we need you in our corner always, even though I know you're in our corner. But if you hide things from us, I know it's shielding. It doesn't feel that way. So obviously, don't like sit them down and have this like big powwow where you're like, so you have this, and like lay it all on them. That's never good. That's never. I don't. For me personally, that would be terrible. So I think just explaining things along the way, just like make it small to where it's not overwhelming, and make it to where it's understandable. That way, it's also like helping them understand as things are happening, so they know that you're not just taking them to have labs done just because. They understand there's a reason and a purpose behind it, and it helps the conversation as they get older as well.
And I totally agree with that. Like you want to keep them in the loop, but like not get them all worked up, because if you tell them the truth, they'll be all confused and then scared. And then, like she said, if you shield it, we as young as we are at that time, we take it like hiding something or lying. But like you said, like try to explain it as much as you can along the way, but don't like just put it all on them. Like, and like if there's something big going on, like my mom used to like wait to tell me until like the day before, so I didn't have to worry about it. I did worrying about it, but I didn't worry about it for like if she, lots of time. So if she like told me like a month before or a couple weeks before, I would always worry about it. It's like just think about all the what ifs and not saying like, oh, it could be okay. It can be like done in like 5 seconds. I'll be fine. So I would always think about the worst thing that could happen. So like if there is something big, maybe try like don't hide it, but like say like, hey, you kind of have something going on that will be later, but try not to worry about it as much because you're gonna do great. Like it'll be okay. Just let them know that you have something that's going on, but like also let them know like you're gonna be okay. Like I'm gonna be here with you, and everything's gonna be okay. We'll get through it together.
One of the things that comes up a lot in our support groups and with our families is bullying at school. As a sibling, can you go right down the line, starting with the siblings and going all the way down, what kind of bullying you've experienced or that you have seen or that you yourself have experienced if you're a sibling without, dealing with anything having to do with the medical things that you go through?
So like me, I never really got bullied, cause like they don't know about my Alagille syndrome, but they know about my aneurysm, and they still treat me the same way. They still, I'm saying, be there for me. They just, feel a little remorse for me or whatever. But I can still hang out with them, still play with them. No one ever bullies me at school.
So I'm homeschooled, so I don't really get bullied that much. And the few times I thought it was bullying, it was just kind of like they didn't understand, but the way they phrased the question was like, it sounded like they were trying to make it sound mean, but they just couldn't put it into words right.
I didn't really get bullied about my liver disease or anything. The main thing was just my height, my shortness, and I still get it today. But like back then, I would always used to like feel bad about it and always wanted to be taller and stuff. But now I just embrace it. Like if someone calls me short, I'm just like, yep, I'm short. Like I like it like this. Short people are awesome. Like, you got a problem with it? Like I just embrace my like. One of my friends calls me short stack, or like just it's funny. But I think like the younger you are, you do take it as an offense and take it as kind of mean. But the older you get, you start to embrace it if it doesn't go away. Because I know I'm gonna be short, obviously. But but I know that they're not doing it to like put a spotlight on you. They're just doing it because they kind of want to make you feel bad, but in the same sense, they don't understand it. So they don't know what's going on or how to approach you. So they like think sometimes a joke is funny. It's like, oh, maybe I'll call her short. Maybe that won't make me fit in. But I mean, to me, I just don't think they understand it. And I just got picked on because of my height. But now I just accept it. I'm just like, yep, I'm short. I like being short. So it's fine. Like you can have a problem with it if you want, but I embrace it. So
Dig it. I like it. So I definitely experienced bullying, and it was a little bit harder and better that my sister is only 14 months older than me. And so I know that for me personally, that was awesome. She's way taller than me. She still is, but especially back then because I was really short. So she was kind of terrifying to all the other kids. She never did anything, just disclaimer, no one got hurt. But bullying was really, really hard, and it was always the short jokes. And when I was younger, no one likes getting called out for being different. And so I think for us it was really hard just because I didn't know I was different. My siblings treated me like normal because I was Anna. So I think that was hard. I think it was also hard on my sister because she felt obligated in a way to be my protector. And while I was very happy about that, looking back, we've talked about how hard that was for her. Because she put herself in situations that, she probably didn't need to. And it put a pressure on her to keep me safe, and that's not her job. That was my parents' job. And so I know that was really hard for her. But I will say, as you get older, it is one of those things, everyone wants to be different. We just, got ours genetically. What? And so, now the short jokes are, a challenge. If you can tell me a short joke I haven't heard, do it. I would love it, because I've heard them all. And then my friends know if they tell me one I have heard, they have to pay me money. So it works really well for me.
Well, I remember when I was younger, I used to always get bullied. Some kids, I had my xanthomas, and it was really big, and kids would say "Oh, you have chicken pox," because that was their immediate reaction, and I would be like, "No, I didn't." And my sister would come, and she would kind of stand up to them, and they would go away. But then they would come back when she was gone. So once I got older, it kind of went away, so they stopped bullying me.
Okay, so in 4th grade, a little people were messing with me, and my brother, he he came outside and talked to them. I don't know what he said. He didn't tell me what he said. But and then this girl, she was like, who's that? And I was like, my brother. And she was like, I didn't know you had a brother in 4th grade. And I'm like, he's in 8th grade because of his height. So, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know if Chloe ever experienced bullying, like personally to her, but I know people would always say things to me like, why is your sister green? Why is your sister so short? And I'd be like, when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, she has some like weird liver thing. But now I can say like, well, she has Alagille syndrome. She can't really do anything about it. Like, why is your sister weird? I don't know. She just is, okay? I'd kind of go with it when I was younger, but now I'm like, what are you saying about my sister? When I was younger, I didn't really understand, and now that I do, I'm able to inform other people about it and help them understand too. So.
I could write a book on bullying. Well, it's hard. I was bullied all my life. I was bullied in college. And half the time I remember thinking, I'm not blind. I know I'm short. I know I have scarred arms and legs. I know I itch. I'm not dumb. I can tell. There's no need for you to point that out and go, oh, you have scratch marks. No. Like I can tell. I'm not an idiot, but I think the times that I really got hurt was when it was things that were about like the way my fingers are kind of, well, I don't want to use the word deformed, but they're weirdly shaped. And I remember being called crusty hands, or you look like an acid victim, which is a very big insult in my country because it's an actual problem. There are women who are frequently doused with acid because they don't do things for their parents-in-law or for their, it's an actual problem. So what you're saying is more offensive to them than to me, and I don't know. I could write a book on it, and I don't want to depress everybody here. It's there for sure, and yeah, I think along the way I did develop tools to not take it seriously. But I do know that in some ways it has had its impact on me for sure. Like I remember when I was a little younger, I used to message Anna and go, oh, I learned this new YouTube, this new makeup routine, and I'm not gonna leave the house without makeup on. Or I know that the comments and the constant, pointing and the laughing, and I know all of that has had its impact on me, but I also know that it's made me more aware of what others are going through. It's made me more empathetic. So if I ever see that happening to somebody else, it doesn't sit well with me. I always stand up and I go, no, this is not right. And so in a way, it had its good side and its bad side. So yeah.
To most of the parents out there who may not know how to deal with bullying, it is hard, and especially if your child comes home crying, say, oh, they said this, they did that. I mean, most people don't either know how to handle it or to approach the person who does have Alagille syndrome or PFIC or any type of disease, and they don't understand it, so it's kind of like a miscommunication between your child and them. But I think it's a big miscommunication, but the main thing, like, for parents that you need to do is just, like, yeah, you can tell them, just, like, don't listen to them. You're beautiful just the way you are, and you don't have to worry about that. And I think a lot of the problem, like, that kids get teased for is not only the shortness, but, like, how many cuts or scars you have on your body. But I just want to let everyone know that your scars are beautiful. Everything about you is beautiful, and every scar in your body is a signal of what you have come through and what you have made it through, and your scars are strong, and that's a signal of you have survived everything that you've been through, and your scars are beautiful, and you are too. So stay strong. I mean, that's all you can do through life.
I have a kind of a change of track of a question. The other day in one of the parent caring for the caregiver meetings, all the fathers talked about trying to make a hospital stay as fun as we could.
Help us out.
What was your favorite thing a parent did for you in the hospital to alleviate whatever stress, and what was your favorite and what went too far?
Oh no. That's a question I've never been asked. And I didn't know how thankful I was of that until just now, and it was. I don't know if my parents are cool with me sharing some things. They're not here, and I'll say they won't watch it. So when I was little, my biggest issue was like gaining weight and keeping it. So everything revolved around food. Like that was everything. And so the most fun, and this is gonna sound so basic, but the most fun that I had was we were in a hospital, and like we always got pizza at the hospital, and there was like a month where like the pizza joint was like not open. Right? I know. That's like all I would eat. And so my parents like threw me this like huge pizza party and slash breadsticks. And so they like went to I'll never forget, they went to Fazoli's because you know you get unlimited breadsticks at Fazoli's. And my dad legitimately brought in like bags of breadsticks and pizzas. And I'm not kidding when I say it was literally just me and my parents. And like they played music, like we like played games, like it was the most low key thing, and it was like so much fun. I think crossing the line, I crack a lot of jokes. I get that from my parents, mostly my dad. I won't say the jokes that he said that were probably not okay, because I was fine with them. But it definitely made some of the staff uncomfortable. And just remember, your child does have to go back to that hospital after you make what you think is hilarious, what I think is hilarious, but they just hear a really awful, somewhat insensitive joke about your child's condition. I can't. So yeah, just making sure like the staff will still welcome you back after. I think that's the line. Like, make sure you can come back to that hospital. That's mine.
For me, it was chocolate donuts. My dad or my uncle or whoever was visiting me when I had my spinal surgery, they'd bribe me with food. They'd be like, if you sit up and sit up for a long time, because I had I wasn't able to because of the pain, you'll get a donut. If you walk, 10 meters, you'll get another donut. So for me, it was donuts. It was a lot of chocolate donuts. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it. Come on, a little more. Yeah, it was good fun.
No? Okay.
One thing, well, I had surgery when I was little, so I don't really remember what I liked back then. But if I were to get surgery, if I were to get surgery, I would just want them to be there for me, you know what I'm saying? And do not baby me, and allow the nurses to do their job, you know?
So when my sister went to the hospital, and I really didn't want to go, my dad would always whisper in my ear right before we went out the door, "Hey, after this, just me and you will go out and get donuts." And so my sister often wondered why I would like always like complain right before, and then she would ask in the car like, "Why are you so quiet all of a sudden, Catherine?" Of course, I didn't tell her I was gonna get donuts because then she would want to come too. So.
Well, I lived in Spain, and in my hospital, we had like a McDonald's, and my thing was macarons. Every time I was in the hospital, my grandpa told me, "You want to get macarons? You want to get macarons?" So I had to go, like 2 hours. I was with the doctors, and then when we got out, we went to the Mac Cafe, and he bought me a giant box of macarons. Every single day we went to the hospital.
Before you pass the microphone, can you introduce yourself and tell us where you're from? Tell
I'm
us a little about you.
Santiago. I live in Spain.
Thank you, Santiago. We're glad you're up there.
My mom was always the main person who stayed with me. My biological dad would not be there a lot. He would try to come as much as he could. But my mom's friend, Tom, which he is like a complete father to me, he was there a lot. But he was not as intense as my mom, I can tell you that. I think my favorite memories of the hospital was like I would try to be active as I could because I didn't want to. I did want to sit in bed all day and just chill out, but at the same time, I didn't want to lose my strength and all that. So I was like, okay, I got to keep moving. I can't stay in this bed forever. So I am a very sporty person, and I love music, and I like doing crafts too. So like my main day would be playing Nerf basketball, listening to a lot of music and playing games, crafting, and dancing. I would always dance outside of the door, and like people would come and watch me. I was like, okay, thanks. But I think one of my main memories that I love is that we were in like one of the biggest rooms on the floor, which I loved, and I loved especially because it had more space for basketball. So honestly, so I had my Nerf basketball hanging up, and then my biological dad came to visit, and I think we were like trying to play a game as much as we could because I couldn't be too active, but I don't pay attention. I do pay attention, but I don't listen very good. So I think we like played a little game, like, and then me and my mom played horse. It was like a good family day. It was really good. I think most not tough but embarrassing times was when my mom would try to hit on the male doctors as much as she could. Love you, Mom.
Again, we have to go back to the hospital. We have to go back.
I don't think they're ever coming back after. Like, here's my number. It's just like.
So I have a question for the Warriors. It's a medication question. As a parent, I know that I struggle with Sean and taking his medication, so I'm looking for advice on how I can get him to be consistent. I remember at the last symposium with the teen panels, one of the panelists said, "And don't tell us that we're gonna die." So I stopped telling Sean that. So I literally used to tell him, and I'm assuming that other parents tell you guys that too, because it came from one of the panelists. So what can I do as a parent to help him to be consistent with taking his medication?
So I used to take like liquid medicine, but I really didn't like the taste. And a lot of a lot of people were taking pills. So I tried pills, but they were like really hard to swallow. So I practiced with the candy Tic Tacs, and I just put them in my mouth, and I tried to swallow them. So after I practiced for a while, I was able to swallow the medicines.
So real quick, for those of you who need short background as to why I told them not to tell your kids you're gonna die. We've all been thinking it. I just was finally the one to say it to you. It doesn't work because we know we have it, and we're still living. You tell us, and we wake up the next day. So you're a liar. So don't tell us we're gonna die because we prove it the next day that it's not true. The other thing is scare tactics. While I know in the moment it's coming out of love and care and fear, it is not helpful for us mentally. Nothing we do needs to be fueled by fear. Believe me, we've got plenty of it. We just don't tell you about it because we see it in your eyes, so we don't voice it to you. Because honestly, what does that help? It just makes you cry. So, at least that's me. So, I know for me and my mom, because we had a lot of knockout, drag-out arguments over my medication. And finally, we sat down. She was like, I'm going to tell you one more time what each of these are for. I already knew it. When you need to take them, you're putting them in your room. She's like, I don't want to see your pill case. She's like, if you're going to live in my house, you're going to, I don't want to see it. Like, if you're not going to take your medication, I'm going to be like, no, you know enough. You are informed. You can make your own choices. And, made sure I understood why it was important. And so it's hard, and I'm not trying to minimize it. It is really, really hard because you've been taking care of us forever. But at some point, you do have to let go. I know that's terrifying, but you do. And so, I'm sorry that we're really difficult, but yeah. For that one, started when I was 13 or 14 because I didn't feel like my medication was helping. And so I didn't really see the point in taking it anymore because we'd go to doctor's appointments. He'd be like, has it improved? I'm like, not really. It's kind of the same. And keep taking it, which was really hard for me. And so eventually my mom did bring the doctor in. She did tell him hey, I'm handing this over to her. And so I'm not going to lie to you, there was still a time where I didn't take it, even after that conversation. And then eventually I just gave in because also, if you watch us do it, we are kind of spiteful. So we might just not take it because you're looking at us. But yeah, I was 13 or 14 when that went down.
Okay, little story, first of all. I don't remember how long it was, but I had to have something done, and they put a camera inside a pill, and it was a freaking huge pill. And it took me 2 hours to swallow it, and a lot of Garfield commercials, cartoons. So, so that's just a little story. But I think the best thing to do is don't let them forget, but kind of give them some time to adjust to it. Just hey, I know you don't want to, but you kind of have to because it'll help you. So try to maybe distract them a little bit, but also don't let them forget hey, you got to take the medicine, or kind of bribe them, hey, if you take this pill, I'll get you a full pizza, or a chocolate donut, or or if you take this and all your other medicines, you get more TV time or anything like that. So maybe that, or if they're not into bribing. There's different ways you can do it. You can practice it like you did with the Tic Tacs. That's a really good thing. Or if they're little capsules, what I used to do with one of my meds is my nurse used to crush it up a little bit and then put it in applesauce, so I wouldn't taste it. I knew it was there, but I wouldn't taste it most of the time. So you could do that, but with different foods. But I think that's just the main thing is let them know that you got to take it because it's for your own health, but also kind of ease them into it. Just hey, you have to take this, or it'll be bad if you don't. Yes, it might, but we don't want to feel that pressure on us. We want to feel a little distracted and then a little easy when we go to take it. And one disclaimer, capsules like Prograf or anything like that, that's fine to take with water. But if you're taking like chalky pills, try to drink something flavorful, because like Coke or Fanta or anything like that, because it sucks with water. I will tell you that, and it's disgusting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mom, you hear it? Come on. I mean, come on. I mean, you can create your own like bribe if you want, but like there's just little things. My sister does not take pills. She, even if it's like a little crumb pill, she does not take it, absolutely not. So she definitely has to take liquid or gummy. Yeah.
So, my parents don't really bribe as much. Well, my dad does, but not my mom. So, a lot of times when my sister gets like a treat or something for doing something good, my mom or my dad, mostly my dad, often says, "Hey, Catherine, let's go get donuts after this, but you have to, shh, don't tell anyone." I'm like, okay. So, I guess bribing not to complain about it. So, bribe the other child too.
Cards or something.
So,
Like, if you go ahead.
my question, one of the advantages of all of you is that you're older and you can articulate things, and thinking back to when you have those really young kids, especially those kids that can't talk and can't communicate what's going on with them. What are some of the strategies, like what's a day in the life? What are things that are helpful? Because I know that information was just critical for me as a new parent.
As like we all said, like when you're young and like when you're just a kid, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you have like any disease, because you don't really, your brain doesn't really like accept it. Like it's just like, oh yeah, I have this, but I'm a kid. I can still do whatever I want. But like there will be certain things that you can't do. So I think like as a parent, it can be super hard. But I think just like you have to try to hang in there, and if they ask about it, kind of ease them into it. Just like, hey, you do have this disease. That does affect some things you can do, but that doesn't make you a lesser person. It still makes you you, which you are awesome. And like you just have to try to give them advice to live through it, so they don't think, oh my God, I had the disease. I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna crash down. So like just kind of try to ease them into it, and like little strategies. Just try to like. Try to say, like, try to keep them as normal as they can be if they do want to be normal. But to be honest, normal is overrated sometimes. So, right. So like, just kind of let them be themselves, but also kind of keep a close eye on them so they don't like do something, not stupid, but like something that may danger them.
Well, I can tell you this, like when I was that small, I only wanted to play. I didn't care about all of this. I was like a mad hatter, just running around everywhere, wouldn't stop for 1 second. It was one of those things where for me talking helped. Like it was intensive, and I know my mom was tired and my dad was tired, and I know I probably drove them up the wall. But it was a lot of talking, and it was a lot of, okay, you've run around this much, let's sit down and let's take this pill, or let's sit down, it's time for food now. And it was a lot of like not commanding, but like kind of like direction, like trying to get my attention to sort of settle down and let's try this. So it was a lot of conversation. It was a lot of dialogue, and it was a lot of information as well, because it wouldn't be, oh, you're gonna die. It would be, you need to do this now, otherwise you can't do XYZ. You can't go to so-and-so's house to play tomorrow, or you won't be able to go on this field trip or whatever. Like it was conversation, it was honesty, and there was complete transparency. It wasn't like I didn't know what was happening to me, or that I didn't know what was coming to me. So it kind of feeds into like, we don't have much control on our lives. We're constantly being viewed under a microscope by doctors and by parents and by society in general. So it helped when I didn't feel like I was under a microscope constantly and that I had a regiment to follow, and if I didn't follow it, there would be deathly consequences. So there was a lot of conversation, there was a lot of talking, and it was very consultative, is that the word? Yeah, consultative. It was like I had a right to choose not to take my medication, but not really, and so that kind of, like the words that my parents chose and the way we spoke about things was not like accusatory, or it was not, like they were commanding me to do things. It was just very like deliberative, and there was a lot of conversation.
Just one other thing. Just remember that we don't know any different. Like, I know that your world got flipped upside down, but our world just landed like that. So, like, we don't know there's any other way. We will when we get older. But when we're young, we honestly don't know. That's our normal. And I think just acknowledging that and, like, remembering that, it doesn't, again, you don't have to sit us down to tell us that we itch because we're doing it. Like, so just remember that, like, we don't know any different at all.
I'll come right back in.
I know my daughter's only 2.5. Some of the problems that we face is trying to make her look age appropriate so that she doesn't look like a baby, because babies are actually bigger than her. So for you guys, as you get older and you're deciding what you want to wear, how hard is it to find something age appropriate that's not found in the little, I'm just thinking for my daughter, I already had, like, I even try to do her hair so she looks a little bit older and not, this little baby that she is. So.
Well, that's difficult, because when you're little, you just want to be yourself, yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're different. So, yeah, the same thing for me. When I was young, when I was born, I was smaller than normal babies, but that doesn't matter. You've got to be yourself. So everybody has to accept you like you are, because you're normal. It's not who you are, it's what you have.
I mean, well, I don't know how to answer your question, because, like, my mom, she buys me all my clothes, so I can't really.
So I'm so short, so sometimes I do have to shop in like juniors and stuff. But I think as I've grown older, I have wanted to mature more, and I think the main part of maturing, not the main part of it, but like, is like trying to understand as you're a kid, just like, oh, but I can't like grow taller to show that I'm more mature and I don't know what to do. So like we sometimes look to style, and that's what I am. That's what I have a little bit. I don't have any style at all, but I I still look for it. So like my main dress is basically just sweatpants and a t-shirt or a tank top. That's literally all I do. But I think like Santiago said, like when you're a kid, you don't really know the difference. But like if you do want to mature, if you like want to look more mature and stuff, you're just like, hey, I'm not a little kid anymore. I can do this. Kind of like to like, hey, okay, what do you want? Like, what do you feel like wearing? Just try to find something that is comfortable for them, but also doesn't say like, oh, I have to do this because I have a disease, or like I want to do this because I have this. So, and that's, I mean, I try to dress more mature now. Like I do want to at least look the part, because I can't be the part right now.
So yeah, I think remembering like when they are like younger, they don't know any different. So like, don't worry about it. Like honestly, when you do get older, it's a real struggle, because at some point, even though we all are fantastic just the way we are, when you get older, you have to try to look like a professional and an adult while you wear kids' clothes. And kids' shoes, yeah, they're cheaper, but So I think honestly, a big part of it really is style. So like, I had long hair trying to match my sister, who looks her age and made me look younger. So cut it all off. Not that you have to do anything that drastic, but I think like just finding their style, and also knowing that when anyone like talks to them, your child's gonna carry themselves in a mature way. There was a lot of times when I met people that I assumed they thought I was 12, and then they didn't, and I would question them because I thought there was something wrong with them. And they would always say, "No, you don't act 12. Like you don't carry yourself as a 12-year-old." I would say making sure that like there's lots of trendy things going on. Make sure that you're getting, like when you are shopping for their clothes, make sure it's like trendy for their age, not trendy for their size. Because in that case, I would have worn Hannah Montana in high school. And that wasn't trendy for high school. So just saying, while they can't pick out their own clothes, like try to be cool.
So I don't have Alagilles, but I'm still short. And I found that when I'm around like other people who are like actually size for their age, that people think I'm younger, and so when I'm actually older than like half the people in the room, and so they put the responsibility, they don't like a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, Eva, here, you can take care of all these kids," but they don't really know that I'm older, so I feel like I have to dress like I'm older so they know that I'm not actually 12. So, because I feel like I'm a little kid every time I do it. I can't speak. Sorry. I'll just stop.
Okay. So in the name of awareness for the last few years, I feel like I've been very open with a lot of random strangers about my daughter's medical stuff because I think that does help awareness, right? When she's 2, that's different. Now as my daughter is coming up on 10, in the last few months I've become very aware of where's the line between awareness and violation of her privacy and her autonomy. Can y'all help give us some feedback on that?
Her phone.
Well, when somebody comes up to you in like a grocery store or something and says something, just say, "Oh yeah, that's my daughter," not, "This is my daughter, she has Alagille syndrome, it's a liver disease," and it's very, like, don't explain it all, like, "This is just my daughter." So what I noticed a lot is that it's told a lot. So my sister and I are twins, and so we are always in the same grade. So I have a lot of experience because my sister and I are always together. So, wow, what am I saying? But we were always together. I'm trying to get my point across. I'm thinking it in my head, trying to put it in words right now. But when we were introduced, it would be like, "These are my 2 daughters, Chloe and Claudia," instead of, "These are my 2 daughters, Chloe and Claudia. Chloe has Alagille syndrome." Instead of like, "Chloe has Alagille syndrome, this is why she's short, this is why she's smaller." So I feel like when they're younger, it's not so much an invasion of privacy. When they're older, they have their own thoughts and feelings about what they want shared about themselves. So maybe like talk to them, see what they're comfortable with, because I know my sister, she's not exactly an extrovert, and she doesn't want everyone to know that her liver isn't the greatest in the world. So,
Well, for when I was a baby, and like I don't know how old I was, but my grandmother used to stitch clothes because you couldn't get clothes my size. So I still have some of my baby dresses just to remind myself as to this was the effort we had to go to like live normally and thrive. So And as it got older, I also started looking for clothes that were comfortable, because like jeans sometimes tend to be a little scratchy and itchy. So I loved leggings and like, because in India you get a lot of cotton, so cotton is great for itchy skin and for heat and things like that. So if you live in hotter parts of the U.S., cotton is your go-to. So I would also just not worry too much about looking the part as much as I would worry about the comfort and the happiness of, because you need to be comfortable with what you're wearing so that you're comfortable with the people around you, with engaging, with going to class, with studying. It starts with small things like this. Like I remember last month I was wearing like this jacket, and I was miserable all day. I had meetings and I was in work and I was just miserable. And when I got home and I took my jacket off, I was like, oh, this is so much better. Like, why was I wearing that? And so it feeds into that. So I wouldn't worry too much about how she looks and how she looks to others more than anything else. Like if she's comfortable and happy as she gets older, then she gets more confidence. It doesn't become of, oh, did I wear the right spaghetti top, or am I having the right accessory? It becomes like an obsession then, and I don't want her to have that. I don't want her to think that she's not wearing the right things that everybody her age are wearing, or that she's not beautiful enough, or as long as she's comfortable, I think that's all you should. I think that's all that should matter with the clothes and with the style. And you can accessorize it up. Like I like long earrings, but I don't like wearing bangles. I don't like wearing watches or bracelets because I itch and it gets in the way of my itching. So yeah, so even things like that. Like I don't wear like anklets, and I don't like clunky jewelry on my neck. So things like that feed into the comfort factor, which then feed into me being able to do other things, like play or swim or whatever. So yeah.
So I have a question too. So there's a lot of science going on in Alagille. We have clinical trials going on, and your parents have always been really involved in what that means, what that looks like. And as far as the kids are concerned, and even the young adults and middle-aged adults, when you are growing up and your parents making decisions for you on whether you should be in a clinical trial or try to understand the science, and we're explaining it to you, do you have an interest to participate in those things? Do you understand what that means? And do you want to know some of the science behind Alagille or PFIC, and how can we do a better job as, when we have scientists here and pharma companies here and biotech companies and even our organization to help you understand what's really happening in terms that you understand and opportunities that you understand, rather than just your parents signing for you and all you know is you're going for blood draws.
Can I answer and then pass it on? Yeah. So I remember when I was growing up, I had this deep, well, this is slightly philosophical, but I had this deep sense of missing, like something was missing. I didn't know what was happening to me, and I couldn't explain it. I didn't know, my parents were telling me things, but they were things. They weren't things that I could relate to or understand, and I kept asking why, and after a point, even they didn't have answers. And living in India, there aren't too many clinical trials at all, let alone for Alagille syndrome. There are now. I think there are lots of clinical trials and things happening and research happening, but back then it wasn't so much. And I think the fear that like my parents had and my family had was that they didn't want me to become like a guinea pig for new things, or they were concerned about me and my safety. But as I got older, that overwhelming sense of why, what does this mean? If I do this, what's gonna happen? Like I had so many questions, and that's when I got like connected to the Alliance and things, and that's when I realized there's a whole world of people trying to figure out why and what and how. So I realized I need to be a part of that, and I want to be a part of that, so there's definitely an interest. And I think that once I figured out that there's people I can go to and tell them, this is how I can help you. I can give you my personal story. I can give you labs. I can come in and do surveys with you or whatever. Because I want to know why, not just for me, but for other people that I meet, with the disease and who have something more severe than me or slightly less severe than me, or I want to know why. The why is like a beating hammer in the back of my brain. So, yeah, yeah.
So my parents approached research kind of like they approached everything, just baby steps. The first thing that I did with research was just giving extra blood. I don't remember what it was for. They've offered to tell me, but I was legitimately like under 3. As I got older, though, research wasn't a thing, obviously, that was really going on. But I didn't know that there were people looking. I'm not gonna cry. Oh my goodness, I haven't cried at one of these yet. Whew. All right. I didn't know there were people looking for answers, and my parents kind of stepped out of the community for themselves for a little bit because I was doing really well. So they personally, in the caregiver role, did not need support, and I did, and I didn't voice it. I didn't have the words for it. So I think the fact that that's even a question that's being asked makes me so happy. I love that there are young warriors that have an option to be in clinical trials, because that's amazing. I think moving forward, a big question is, it's really easy to just say yes to all research, because obviously we want answers, we want a cure, we want all this stuff to go away. But for me personally, as I've kind of grown with this, is it gonna my quality of life? It's really easy for us to say yes, especially as older ones, because we see the younger ones and we see what they're going through, and we want to make it stop as much as we can. So I have had to learn to make sure that whatever I do, it's also okay for me. It's healthy for me as well, because it's really easy to just kind of go straight into selflessness and just completely perch there. But I know that if I were to take a drug that took my itch away for 3 months and then that drug got taken away, my quality of life would plummet, and I would not be a young adult with a full-time job, because I would have experienced life without my itch, and that's not an option for me. I know that. Now, in a couple years, like that's, other trials and things like that, I've offered certain researchers a toe if they would take it, so I think just having that conversation, they'll tell you what they don't want to know. If they're just like, I don't care about that word you just used that is 5 syllables long, I don't care. They'll tell you. We will tell you if we don't care. But I do think letting them know that there is research, even if they don't tell you that they need to hear it, they need to hear it. Yeah.
I have PFIC, not Alagille, just, yeah. So I think it, depends on your age of, what you feel like doing with your disease and what you don't feel like doing. In your young life, your young years, your parents have to do pretty much everything for you because you don't understand it. You're not independent yet. But I think, with me, when I was younger, I said okay, I'm sick and I hate it, but I don't know what it is. I just know that I hate it and it sucks. But as I have gotten older, I've learned more about it and actually become more interested in it, because right now I'm more interested in the research and everything. And I think this conference has helped a whole lot. I didn't know much about my disease until my doctors would tell me what it is. I was just yeah, I know what it is, but I don't understand you. You're talking doctor. I need English. I need my language. And to be honest, how many people did actually understand what all the doctors said? Exactly. So I think it's yeah, for the doctors, it's easy to say oh, you have this disease, it's rare, we're trying to work on it, but they're speaking it in their language, oh, you have this, you have that, it's caused by this. But we know what it is, but we want to know more about it, but in our language. We want to understand it, we want to get to learn more about it and see what we can do to help it. And that's what, how I feel, because with my disease, all I hear is, it's a rare disease, we don't know what's caused by it, we don't know what causes it, and we don't have a cure for it. and like I said, I've always been interested in the research. So like I think as we get older, we get to that point where like, hey, I know I have this disease and I haven't cared much, but like right now I'm actually pretty interested in it. And you parents, like you pretty much know everything or about our disease or like as much as you could. So like you can try to educate us. So like if we don't want to go to the doctors and like hear them blabbering about what we can't understand about what our disease is. But our parents, like they understand us, so they can try to make it into our language of what we can understand it for. So I think it just depends on the age, and like I said, I'm really interested right now, and I think this conference has helped a whole heck of a lot, and I'm really thankful that I got to come here.
I remember I was on clinical trials, and I still am. But my mom, before we started it again, she would always ask me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she would try to explain it to me. So she always asked if I wanted to do it, and if I didn't, she would be like, "Okay, we're not doing it." So I always knew what I was doing.
And then just one more thing to researchers. I've had a lot of encounters with researchers that talk to my parents and use not English. And it's only been in the last 3 years that I've gotten to work and encounter researchers that truly want me to understand the science behind their research. And I know that a lot of us look younger than we are, but when you do meet us, we are not a number. And I know a lot of them that are here, you already know that, so I'm preaching to the choir. But we're not a number. And if you can, take the time. I've had 2 researchers literally draw me the most basic diagram to try to help me understand the genetics behind something that I still can't tell you because I honestly don't have the words for it. But that means so much to us when you do truly try to bring us in and to help us understand the science. We might not ever be able to repeat it, ever, but it means so much to us. And knowing that all of us want to understand what's going on. And if you can help us understand just 1% of it, that's huge. That's giving us more control and more knowledge. And then as we get older, we can actually maybe understand 2%.
We probably have time for one more question up front. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on.
I wanted to ask a similar question for the siblings. Both what level of information about the disease and the research, was helpful to you as you got older? It sounds like most of you are older siblings, so maybe you don't remember the beginning, or maybe how much was too much.
Well, that goes because of age. Well, when you're little, they tell you a small amount of what you have. They try to tell it to you in a way you can understand it. And once you grow, it kind of gets bigger and bigger. So my liver is well now, but now I've got kidney indeficiency, and I go to my kidney doctor. He told me that when I get 12 years old, he has to tell everything to me, and he has to speak to me and my mom. And she can't go with me because it's like a hospital law, I think. And so it's because of your age. When you're 5 years old, a little bit, then you're 10, they tell you much more. And it's because of growing. You get it's because of your age.
I don't really know how much my parents first told me because I was 4. But now I want to know a lot. One of my favorite questions is why? And so personally, I want to know it all. Not that I remember, but I was 4, so I don't really know.
too much is if you're scaring them. That's too much. Just putting that out there.
My brother wasn't a part of any research, so I don't really know. But sometimes my mom would ask me questions. What kind of syndrome does he have? And I'll answer them. And she'll maybe ask me, what are the causes? Then I'll answer them. Yeah.
Yeah, you knew.
Well, I'm 15 years deep into Alagille syndrome, and I still don't know what the heck is happening. I mean, it's there. Like, she has it, but what's going on? I don't know. So, I want to know more, but I don't know the right questions to ask. Like, why? See, I can't even ask right now. Like, I don't even know where to even begin. So if you could, because I know a lot of the questions were, how do I share with my child what's happening to them? Also explain to their siblings, because their siblings also would probably like to be a part of that and like to know. So.
All right, so yeah. So I'm not going to speak for my siblings because I know my youngest sister doesn't really give a crap about it much. I mean, I guess you could say that. She knows I have this problem and I love her. But my oldest sister, she has had her own struggles and everything, and I think she knows. But to the doctors and all the parents, but mainly to the doctors, when you're explaining our disease, please try to put it in the best English you can, so not only the parents can understand it, but us include it in our family and friends and whoever asks us about it. So we don't know oh, here's my doctor's phone number, you can call him and ask him, or her. So try to explain it to us not as a professional view, but as our view, just okay, you have this problem that will affect this and that. It's it can and it can't be that simple, but there's that. And parents, I think you're doing an amazing job, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of hardships, a lot. But all you have to do all you have to do is just try to stick with your child as much as you can, and try to keep them as positive as you can, and keep them distracted so they don't worry about a lot, and just try to stay positive and laugh about a lot of stupid things, and just try to do your best at living a positive way through it. And once again, if you get bullied and everything, don't listen to it, because first of all, they're jealous. Second of all, it's just miscommunication. So, and just live your own life and know that everyone is beautiful in their own way. So, parents, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, but for real.
One last thing. Just to talk about the siblings and understanding, you can give them the information, but you got to give them the time to process it. My younger brother was always explained what was going on at every point, but I think the time when he fully really understood what it was in, I think, his 10th or 11th grade, when he did a biology project on the disease I have. And he won. I think he won or got really good marks for it or something. And his biology teacher was so impressed the way he drew the cell and the gene and all of that. And so that's when I saw, that he could really understand what it was that I was going through. And now he's third year medicine, so he really understands what I'm going through. So you can give them the information, but it's okay if they don't understand. It's okay if they need to be told or explained things again. It doesn't matter. They will find their own way to come together with the child that has ALGS. And you got to give them the time.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being up here. Randy, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to ask for a little bit of encouragement for our parents, but thank you. You have all shown so much maturity and wisdom, and we just want to thank you for sharing your thoughts. We do have, if you want to wave, We have some scientists in the back that have offered to sit down with you if there's any questions that you have about the science, so they can put it into your language. It's lunchtime if you want to grab your lunch first and then head to them. So thank you all so much. Let's give them a big round of applause.